Hey guys, what's up? My name is Anthony and welcome to another edition of B&A Sports Talk. So today I want to talk about the Dallas Cowboys. I made a string of like a couple Giants videos that the thumbnail looked eerily similar, but today I want to talk about the Dallas Cowboys because there's some interesting news and it has implications to the Giants. We won't mention those in this video. What I'm going to mention is Dak Prescott and whether or not he signs with Dallas Cowboys and what it can mean for the rest of the NFL. I made a video a couple weeks ago about what happens if Tom Brady joins the Cowboys and where Dak Prescott can land, but I didn't do a lot of speculation on that. In this video, we're going to get more into that, into the nitty-gritty. So, without further ado, let's just begin. The Dallas Cowboys, if they choose to move on from Dak Prescott, would have no quarterbacks. They have Cooper Rush, and that's pretty much it. They can try to strap up Kellen Moore or something like that, but I don't think that'd be a wise decision. They'll have to get a guy in the draft or free agency. There's two very clear options, or maybe there's a third option. I don't know. Maybe you can get somebody off the current roster to all of a sudden, and like Amari Cooper, turn him into a quarterback. I don't know. That's silly. But okay, who can you bring in? They have an option to do it in the draft. They could trade all the way up. They can package all the way up to go and get an elite quarterback. Tua wants to be a Cowboy. That was a big rumor. And if he's still available at 4, the Dallas Cowboys can trade all the way up. Now, this is a big gamble that he's going to be available at 4. Some people think he's not even going to be available at 3 when the Lions are picking because the Redskins may trade or even pick a Tua. So that's going to be a big gamble. To focus everything on the draft. They can also look at a more developmental prospect like Jacob Eason, but again, they wouldn't have a guy, number one, to teach Jacob Eason unless they bring a guy in free agency. And you can look for a Jordan Love, a guy from Mike McCarthy to teach, but does he really want to teach a guy like Jordan Love from scratch? I think he wants to have more of a middle road quarterback, a guy who is talented, has the traits and the skills, but he can grow him up and groom him and take credit for their success. He's not going to want to teach a guy like Jordan Love from base offense and things like that, and it would be a lot of pressure for him to do that, especially as a first-year head coach. Some honorable mentions that I will just toss aside now. Phillip Rivers, no, he's too old. Mike McCarthy wants to have a guy for the next 6, 7, 8 years. Tom Brady made a whole video about it. It just seems like it's not going to happen. I don't really want to go into that much more depth on that. So those are my two honorable mentions. The first guy I'll mention is Jameis Winston. Now, Jameis Winston is going to command a lot of money, potentially in the upper to lower 30s, millions of dollars a year. So this is going to be an expensive option. He's known for throwing a lot of interceptions, but he just had LASIK eye surgery. Maybe playing in that dome, playing in front of those fans will make him throw better. Mike McCarthy has had Aaron Rodgers on his roster who doesn't throw a lot of interceptions, but he had Brett Favre on his rosters who threw a bunch of interceptions, and they were still successful with him. So this is definitely an option for the Cowboys, especially since you have a great offensive line that won't make Jameis Winston rush a little bit. You probably need another deep wide receiver, potentially draft a guy in the first round like that. You get Jameis Winston for free. It's free agency. And yeah, so the next quarterback I can potentially see them bringing in is Teddy Bridgewater. He's rumored to go to the Buccaneers. Bruce Arians is very interested in him, but he doesn't turn the ball over a lot. He'd be playing in a dome. He has smaller hands. His ball doesn't really drive that much in the wind, but you'd be playing in a division with the Eagles, the Giants, and the Redskins. That'd be really tough. Playing in the Northeast with the wind, the rain, that'd be very, very difficult for a guy like Teddy Bridgewater, but it's definitely possible. He can just be a game manager for a couple of years. I think Mike McCarthy would take him under his wing and potentially do it. Teddy Bridgewater would command almost $30 million. That's what the rumor said that he wants. That's a lot of money. Next guy that I'll mention is Marcus Mariota. He may just want to go for either a backup on some other team, or you can bring him in and be like, okay, Marcus, we have this great roster. I know you had a great roster in Tennessee, but him and Mike McCarthy may work together in tandem like that. Mike McCarthy may see some skills in Marcus Mariota, like his speed, his athleticism, and run with it, for lack of a better term. You have a pretty good offensive line. Not too much of a better roster over Tennessee, but it would definitely be interesting to see if Mike McCarthy can turn over Marcus Mariota's career. It'll be like Eminem and Eminem. That'd be I just thought of that now. That'd be very, very interesting. Another quarterback they could potentially bring in is Ryan Tannehill. And this is probably the most likely out of anybody. You can bring him in on a Kirk Cousins type deal. Fully guarantee it. 3 years, $30 million a year. I know it's a lot of money, but it's definitely less than Dak Prescott is going to get paid. Again, you can pay more people on this roster. Potentially you can get away with 4 years, $25 million or something like that. But Ryan Tannehill, He has a very similar roster in Tennessee, like I just mentioned with Marcus Mariota. I think that Ryan Tannehill, he struggled a little bit later in the season with reading the safeties a little bit with some certain scheme. And yeah, I think that Ryan Tannehill, at the end of last season, he was far more efficient than Dak Prescott, and he doesn't have to throw a lot to be successful. He's a good game manager. Again, probably get another wide receiver and make this offense really, really good. I know you're probably missing a corner. A lot of people have them drafting a corner in the first round, but I think Ryan Tannehill would work really well in this offensive scheme, and that's pretty much it. You could try to bring in an Andy Dalton, which is probably my last one, or Cam Newton, but you'd have to trade for them. Andy Dalton would give you some veteran leadership for a couple years. Mike McCarthy may or may not be down for that, but the Patriots are looking at this guy saying he has untapped potential. So Mike McCarthy may look at that like, oh, if he has untapped potential, trade him for a 4th or 5th round pick, pay him $17 million a year, and then be able to sign some other guys in free agency, like a cornerback, bring a cornerback in, maybe bring in an elite defensive end, and you'll be able to spend a little bit more on your team. So yeah, those are my top 5 guys. Most likely is probably Ryan Tannehill. I would say next, maybe, yeah, probably an Andy Dalton. But let's move on to where Dak Prescott can go. There are 3 teams that are solidified potential, and then it's everyone else. I really don't see who would bring on a Dak Prescott, especially the Titans, who, like, they're moving on from Ryan Tannehill. The reason why they're moving on from Ryan Tannehill is because they don't want to pay him that much, and you'd be paying Dak Prescott more for how much of an upgrade? Like, really? I'm not too sure. Dak Prescott, veteran leadership. He's played in the dome his entire career, and I'm not too sure about that. But then again, he did play outdoors with the Eagles. Whatever. So the teams I can see Dak Prescott going to, number 1 is the Los Angeles Chargers, and so if they get him, pay him $30 million a year, and then draft a left tackle, and all of a sudden you have a pretty good offense. Re-sign Hunter Henry. Depends what their cap situation is like, but this is definitely a possibility. Their owner has been known to be a little bit of a cheapskate, but Dak Prescott has shown in the first couple of years, if you take a look at his stats compared to Phillip Rivers' stats in their first 4 years, they're eerily similar. Why did I mention that? I don't know. Just the Los Angeles or the Chargers connection, because they were San Diego back then. So the Chargers definitely are a landing spot. I was also thinking about the Redskins for a little bit. They'd signed to a lot of money, but you have a number 2 overall pick, have an elite defense, Dak Prescott. You already have a good offensive line with Trent Williams, who wants $20 million a year, by the way. And you have Eric Flowers on that offense. You have Brandon Sheriff. They'd be able to protect him and a lot of young weapons. He'd definitely be a fit for the Redskins, but I don't think this is a likely option. Another option I can see is the Carolina Panthers, but they're looking for a complete rebuild. He's not really the type guy that Matt Rule is looking for in an offense. He's looking for a guy that can have a little bit of mobility, but Dak Prescott could be definitely an option, but I really don't think that Matt Rule is going to be like, oh, that's our guy. I think they're going to be willing to wait for the right guy to fall to them. The Trevor Lawrence, the big splash, kind of like what Miami did. Didn't really work out well for them, but yeah, I think they're probably going to bring like a Marcus Mariota backup. I don't see them making a medium splash. I see them making a very sexy move to re-energize this fan base. And let me know if there's anybody that I missed. There really aren't any teams that would be looking for a guy like Dak Prescott. Take a look at, go by division, NFC East, NFC West. Think about the teams, NFC North, and NFC South. It's very limited. And if we go to the AFC East has all teams have their quarterback, it feels like. The AFC South, Titans, it's very rare to see a guy, maybe the Colts, but they've not been known to spend a lot in free agency, and they don't know Dak Prescott a lot. So to bring in a guy with $30 million, it's rare, because if he's your quarterback, you stick with him. I think the Colts are going to go more of the draft route. But again, hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. Let me know what you guys think. Where could Dak Prescott land, and who could replace Dak Prescott? And yeah, everything and anything in the comment section down below, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.